Esse aqui é o Museu Vapriki, conta a história aqui da Finlândia, a história de Tampere, onde eu vou encontrar o professor Juha. A gente vai conversar um pouco sobre a história aqui da Finlândia, a história também de Tampere. Nós estamos aqui no Vapriki Museu, né? A gente deu uma volta, não pode filmar lá dentro, a gente vai no café conversar um pouco sobre a educação finlandesa, aqui com o professor Juha, quem eu agradeço de antemão. Olá pessoal, eu vou conversar aqui com o Dr. Juha Lahtinen. A gente vai conversar um pouco sobre a história da Finlândia, ele vai me contar um pouquinho sobre isso. O Dr. Juha conhece bastante sobre essa história e a gente vai aqui bater um papo descontraído sobre isso. Thank you, Dr. Juha. Could you tell us a little bit about the Finland history?
Yeah, sure. And how far you want me to go? Okay, to tell something about during the independence.
You have time. I know that Finland was a place that there is no country, and Sweden started to annex Finland to your country, no?
It happens so that we have been part of the kingdom of Sweden for centuries. Until 1809. And 1809, the Finland was occupied by Russians. So after this 100 of years, under the power of Swedish kingdom, we became a part of the Russian Empire. And we were part of the Russian Empire about 100 years.
Oh.
Till 1917, when we get the independence. After First World War, there was a revolution in Russia, and Finland was like an autonomous area of Empire of Russia. And so when the communists take power in Russia, in fact, Mr. Lenin, Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, was one who promised to give the independence to Finland. So in fact, Lenin was one of our kind of founder of the independent Finland. Okay. No, not the founder, but he started in fact. Yeah. And 1917 we became independent, and after that we had the Civil War, because the political situation was a bit like complicated after this power of Russians, and of course the influence of the Russian Revolution was high, and we call our left-wingers those days, they were red, and they founded like their own army, like a red army, Finnish army, like for laborers and for left-wingers, and at the same time, or in fact a little bit earlier, the white ones, like right-wingers, we call them whites. They have also founded their own kind of army, like security forces. Yeah. And it was huge tension between these two, like armies and groups. And after we have get our independence, they start to have a bit like violent actions or kind of tension became higher and higher, and then it became a war. And about 4 or 5 months.
A Revolução de Fevereiro de 1917 na Rússia havia derrubado o czar Nicolau II, até então real mandatário no Grão-Ducado da Finlândia, deixando a região sem uma liderança clara. O estabelecimento do novo governo provisório em Petrogrado viu as chances de ganho de autonomia dos finlandeses sendo esmagadas, com ordens vindas da capital russa para a imediata dissolução do parlamento em Helsinki. Os finlandeses desobedeceram às ordens russas e estabeleceram um novo parlamento, que após a Revolução de Outubro, que levou os bolchevistas de Vladimir Lenin ao poder no país, decidiu declarar a independência da Finlândia em 6 de dezembro de 1917. Os comunistas rapidamente reagiram à atitude finlandesa, iniciando a Guerra Civil Finlandesa, na qual a nova nação recebeu apoio militar do Império Alemão. Lenin, vendo-se fragilizado pela tumultuosa situação interna da Rússia, que via forças leais ao czar tentando derrubar o regime comunista, não tinha recursos para subjugar o levante finlandês e acabou aceitando a independência do país em maio de 1918.
When we were independent, we have to discuss about what to do with our independence. What kind of country we want to be, and do we want to be like a socialistic country or so-called right-winger country? And that's the reason, because this it was like a gap between these two ideologies. And then they start
from Sweden to Russia.
No, in a way, yes, in a way, but it was totally brother against brother war.
Yeah.
It was a civil war, and because of this politics, and after right wingers, the whites, they won the battle. In fact, we are now here in Tampere, and one of the main battles, the battles which really make the war end. Like this crucial battle happens in here, in Tampere. And when Tampere was occupied by whites, it used to be red Tampere, and when it was occupied, and then the left-wingers, the army kind of collapsed, and they arrested a lot of right-wingers or left-wingers, those reds. They collected in a bit like camps, not a concentration camp, but almost. Really bad conditions, and it was also these trials and even shouting. They shout to people like execute those people. Also here in Tampere. After that, they find a solution and they elected. We voted in parliament elections, and even the social democrats, like left wingers, they get the part of the parliament.
Yeah.
And we started. We call them in a way. It's a bit like a consensus parliament. Like multi-party parliament. And we started already in the beginning. And step by step, the scars began to heal after this war.
I read something about this war with Russia, about a sniper, a famous sniper.
Yes, but it was later.
Okay.
It was in the Second World War.
The Second War. Okay.
Only after 20 years after that, 1939, Russian troops, as a part of the Second World War beginning, they attacked Finland 1939, and then we started this called Winter War against Russia.
Yes, famous Winter
The
War.
famous Winter War was 1939 and 1940. It is 105 days of heroism that we call it here, and this is like a David against Goliath fight.
Yeah.
And small Finland and poor. After this the beginning of the independence country, we were poor, not so industrialized.
Yeah.
It was agricultural country mostly, and Russia's troops, they attacked it, 1939, and after 105 days, we have to accept.
But Lenin thinks that it will be very easy to conquest Finland, no?
They thought it was easy because it was, our army was so badly equipped.
Yeah.
And Russian troops, of course, they first of all, when the divisions, when they go over the Finnish border, they even have like horns and trumpets and everything that for the parade. That after a couple of weeks they will have a parade in Helsinki, because they think that it's so easy peasy work to occupy whole Finland.
Yeah.
But they didn't succeed because we fight for our lives in many ways.
For your home.
For our homes. But we lost a lot big pieces of Finland to Russians, and about 10%, more than 10% of Finnish inhabitants have to leave their homes and go as refugees from the old Karelian area to Finland, from Karelia to Finland.
Until now, no?
They have to do it, and they lost their farms and whatever they have, cattle, and the farmers here in Finland have to give some land for those refugees, and it was a huge operation after war. but we made it.
Após a invasão soviética da Polônia Oriental em 17 de setembro, Helsinki sentiu que mais uma barreira caíra, tragando o país para cada vez mais perto da guerra. Uma acelerada mobilização começou a tomar efeito, sob o disfarce de um grande treinamento de reservistas. Ao mesmo tempo em que elaborava seus planos de guerra, a União Soviética convidou diplomatas finlandeses para uma última rodada de negociações em Moscou, demandando mais uma vez a cessão da Carélia e a destruição de todas as fortificações que os finlandeses haviam construído na região, conhecidas como linha Mannerheim. Tais demandas foram consideradas inaceitáveis pelo governo finlandês, que inclusive fez uma contraoferta cedendo uma parte menor do território requisitado, mas as negociações terminaram no mortífero silêncio. Em 26 de novembro, o NKVD realizou uma ação clandestina, na qual alvejou com artilharia um posto da Guarda Fronteira Soviética no vilarejo de Mainila, localizado na fronteira entre os dois países, e rapidamente Moscou acusou a Finlândia de provocar uma ação militar. No dia 30 de novembro, a União Soviética invadiu a Finlândia com 21 divisões, totalizando 450 mil homens, dispondo de milhares de tanques e aeronaves de combate. O planejamento soviético foi feito com base em sua imensa superioridade numérica, considerada invencível por Stalin, e seu alto comando acabou não levando em consideração a alta dificuldade do terreno finlandês e o fato de que haviam invadido na pior época do ano. O 34º Regimento foi posicionado no setor norte do Lago Ladoga, onde recuou ordenadamente ante o avanço soviético até a linha formada pela barreira natural do rio Kola, cuja margem ocidental era marcada por elevações de 10 metros de altura em relação ao curso d'água. Foi lá que as tropas da 12ª Divisão de Infantaria do general Voldemar Hägglund parariam o avanço de todo o 8º Exército Soviético, numa ação que pôs fim à ofensiva inicial dos invasores, que também haviam sido parados na linha Mannerheim. A batalha agora se transformara numa intensa guerra de atrito, com imensas formações armadas soviéticas tentando penetrar as linhas finlandesas ao longo de todo o front. A imensamente superior artilharia soviética martelava diuturnamente as posições finlandesas, mas à medida em que o inverno se intensificava, cada vez mais a escuridão consumia os dias, até que apenas 5 horas de luz eram vistas diariamente. Foi nesse cenário que os soldados soviéticos no setor de Kola começaram a cair em números cada vez maiores, desmontando a ação de pelotões em patrulha e colocando um freio em seu ímpeto ofensivo. Durante o mês de dezembro de 1939, a Finlândia e o mundo acompanharam o nascimento de uma lenda, um matador infalível e indetectável que foi batizado pelos soviéticos pelo temeroso nome de Bielaya Smert, ou Morte Branca. Halha somente saía de posição após o pôr do sol, retornando a pé para a base, onde primeiro ia à tenda do comandante para relatar os resultados do dia e posteriormente seguia para o alojamento, onde fazia a manutenção no fuzil e descansava para o dia seguinte. Em 21 de dezembro, Simo Halha atingiu seu recorde, fulminando 25 soldados inimigos num único dia, marcando a neve com vastas manchas vermelhas de sangue. Um acordo de paz foi assinado em 13 de março, com a Finlândia cedendo 11% do seu território para a União Soviética, porém preservando a valiosa independência do país ante a agressão do gigante vermelho.
Then we recognize that we owe a lot of money to Russians because of the war. We have to pay some like payback for these winners. We have to pay a lot. And we recognize how can we pay back to Russians, and we have to start to create industrialism. You have to make some factories like locomotives, paper mills.
Here in Tampere you have a lot, no?
Yes, we had cotton factories, and we have had those, mostly founded by Scotch and German people who are not Finns. They have founded some factories even here in Tampere. But for the education, even before the Second World War, when we were poor, we recognized that we have to educate our citizens, that we will go further from the poorness to some kind of welfare country. But then came war, and the economy collapsed. And after war, we start to go back step by step, and because of the wise decision making. They think that we have to focus on education. we have to give equal opportunities to all those kids after war. And in fact, we get some special support from UNESCO, for example, for our children in the late 40s and early 50s, because we suffer poverty those days. But step by step, the society getting better and better. We started this industrialism revolution, and it's about 60s. And all the time they work in these multi-party parliaments, and so it means that there's no like we or them and we or them. It is more like cooperation between the parties from left to right, and
Work together.
they work together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it means that you have to make long-term decisions, not only for 4 years or 6 years, and. In the 50s and 60s, we started comprehensive school, 60s especially. So it means that everybody, no matter of your origin or your money or whatever.
Or rich.
Yes, and
To everybody.
even before that, the education has been free. Even though we have been a poor country, the education has been free in every level, even before that. But it's not so easy for poor people to continue studies because they have to work in the fields
Like in Brazil.
exactly. that you cannot leave your home village. You have to work in the farm and so. And the parents don't like so much that their kids go to school because they need some workforce in the fields. But in the 60s, when the industrialism getting higher, we need more educated workforce in factories. And it started step by step. And maybe the biggest movement was in the 60s and 70s when we created this school system we call now Finnish basic education system, which is equal school for everyone, free of charge, no private schools, and so on, and a common curriculum for the basic education. And in the 70s, it's getting even more and more democratic. And in the 80s, we, for example, rid off from this inspector system. The schools are autonomous, but they are following the same core curriculum in basic education. But it's because of this wise decision making, and education has been in focus. Usually, I call it should be like focus number one.
Yeah.
Well-educated people and no child left behind.
After 4 days, change the government, but don't change the focus.
Yes, sure. And the government is for ensure the resources, the money, and the education providers are specialists who are focused in education, not for spare of money or.
Okay, but probably in the beginning it was very hard to change this, no?
It was
because if you put your mind that you need to improve your education, of course it is not happening in 1 or 2 or 3 years.
No.
10 years maybe too.
In Finland it took about 70 years.
70.
Yes, from the beginning of our independence in 17, it was in law that every child should be at school at least 4 or 5 years, something like that. But step by step, it's getting like longer and longer. And nowadays we call it lifelong learning society, and it's the whole society is built that you can continue your studies so far you like, and it's always free of charge. And it's like a political situation, a political decision, not a decision for somebody who just wants to focus on education. It means that it's consensus again, that everybody in Finland thinks that we don't have resources enough, like human resources, that we can left some child in the favelas. We have to give them proper education to everyone because we need all of it.
It was a society decision, no?
It was, yes, it was a decision which make our society a welfare society.
In Brazil, it's very strange because if you ask some people in Brazil what he thinks about education, he will say, education is very, very important.
Indeed.
If you ask a politician, it's very, very important.
Yeah.
But in practice,
it's
not.
different. Yeah.
It's different.
it's like empty words. But it's always, of course, everybody thinks it's important. It's part of the game that you have to say it. Like you said, the human rights are always okay. You have to take care of the human rights. But as it happens in real life, this is sometimes it's a big difference between reality and the words we are speaking. But in Finland, in my opinion, we have succeeded quite well. That we are walk the talk. We are doing the things we are talking.
Yeah.
If we speak about the equal opportunities, it means that our system is that it offers equal opportunities to everyone. And if we say that it's free of charge, it means that it's free of charge. You cannot buy place in the better school.
Yeah.
But it means that you have to apply with your competencies. And in the basic education, we have this policy called the best school is the nearest school. It means that the schools should be, they are quite equal level wherever you live, even the rural areas, small villages, or capital area. The schools in basic education, from the grades 1st to 9, they are following the same curriculum. And it's up to teachers who are highly educated. They know what is the
but
freedom.
in my opinion, equality is of course one of the Finland secrets for your education, but it's not the only one.